the English ma'am, and I hope students that you are putting in lot of hours of study and not thinking that, oh, the school is closed so we don't have to work hard, because the schools are going to open and then you will have your tests, your exams, and there will be such a lot of work to do. It's going to be very, very difficult. So it's a good idea that you start working from now on. You may just put in a small number of hours, even that is perfectly fine, but you at least start studying regularly. Now what have I brought today? I have brought to you The Black Aeroplane, and this is from your CBSE First Flight book. Chapter number 3, 2 stories about flying. We have already done the first flight, his first flight, and now we are on The Black Aeroplane. A little bit about the author, Frederick Forsyth. Now Frederick Forsyth, you can see the entire board is full of this author. Ooh, let's just go through what he is. He is a journalist, a novelist, a pilot, a former spy, and a person who is an occasional political commentator. And he is, he has written some of the best thrillers. Almost all of them have been made into movies or TV series. Some of them are The Day of the Jackal, that was his first novel. The Odessa File. Then you have The Fourth Protocol, The Negotiator, The Cobra, and you have The Avenger. Now don't confuse with the Avengers movie that you've seen. This one is a thriller. Now he has been conferred the highest honor. He is a CBE, that is, he is the commander of the most excellent British order. So you can imagine, yeah, heavyweight kind of an author. And the fact that he was a pilot, and the fact that he was a former spy, and the fact that he loves thrillers, he writes thrillers, you would understand all that when you read the story, The Black Aeroplane. Now the story starts with this line: the moon was coming up in the east behind me, the stars were shining in the clear sky above me. So he gives you an idea of what kind of a weather it is, whether it was day or night, or whether the stars were shining, whether the sky was clear or not. And then he says there wasn't a cloud in the sky, and he was very, very happy to be high up above the sleeping countryside, and he was flying his old Dakota airplane. Now this airplane, my children, you may not have heard, it was one of the military aircrafts, and it had been converted from civilian aircraft, and this one was used by Allies during the World War II. So it was a really, really, really very good airplane. So this pilot is going back to England, and as he says, I was dreaming of my holiday and looking forward to being with my family. I looked at my watch, 1:30 in the morning. So it is something so simple to understand, isn't it? He was going back to his family, and he was really, really very happy, at the prospect of meeting his family members, and at the fact that he would be reaching over there in the morning and he would be having breakfast with them. Now children, many of you whose parents serve in the defense forces, they are already aware of this thing, that the parents, the fathers or mothers are so far away, and it is such a big thing for them to come home to have breakfast and lunch or dinner with their families. For the rest of you people you just take your parents for granted because you see them all the time, isn't it? Breakfast maybe, then lunch also they are there, dinner also they are there. But talk about those children whose parents are working somewhere else, they are not in the same city. How precious these moments are for them to be spending it with their family. So this is what we come to know about the remaining part of the story on this page, that he decides that it is time that he should be calling the Paris control, and he talks to them and he says that I am on my way to England. Children, you need to know that there is a controller, an air traffic controller, who controls all the flights coming in or going in that particular airspace, and that is how they come to know which plane is arriving and which plane is about to depart or departing. So it is very important that the planes give the information to the control tower so that they get the idea of how the route needs to be taken. So everything is fine. The radio also answers that okay, you are on the right route. It gives this pilot a direction also where it says turn 12 degrees west now. And he checks the map, he checks the compass, he switches on his second and the last fuel tank, and he turns the Dakota 12 degrees west towards England, and he's very happy at the prospect that he's going to be in time for the breakfast. And everything is going well. It is an easy flight. He also tells you that Paris was about 150 kilometers behind me when I saw the cloud. Paris had been left back. It was 150 kilometers behind him when he looks ahead, and what does he see? Storm clouds. They are black. They are huge, and he tells you that they look like black mountains. Children, of course, you can detect the figure of speech or the poetic device. It's a simile that he's comparing the storm clouds to that of the mountains. Very black, very huge. And he knows, because he's a pilot, he's been flying on this route umpteen number of times. He knows that there is no way that he can fly over them. They are so huge, and he realizes that he does not have enough fuel that he can actually go the extra kilometer that would be required in going north or south. So he thinks, I need to go back to Paris. But children, that desire to be with the family, to have breakfast with them is so strong. He's missing his family so much. He wants to be there with them, having breakfast with them, that he decides that he is going to take the risk. And he does that. He flows his Dakota straight into the storm. What happens? Obviously everything is black over there. It is just impossible. He's not able to see anything. But what is happening once he is inside? Now this is scary, and this scares him also. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. I looked at the compass. I couldn't believe my eyes. The compass was turning round and round and round. It was dead. It would not work. The other instruments were suddenly dead. I tried the radio. There was no answer. The radio was dead. Now, for a pilot without a compass, without radio, can you imagine? It's a nightmare. He is lost in the clouds. How long, how huge, he does not know the exact size. He just knows it's huge, it's black. He's not able to see anything. Oh my God. Oh my God. For a seasoned pilot, for somebody who has a lot of experience of flying, this is something that would make him panic, and he is panicking. See, he was lost in his own fantasy world, isn't it? And because he was lost in the fantasy world, he did not realize the danger now he is in, and he is panicking. Children, he is panicking. Do you think somebody is going to help him now? What do you think? Is it something that has happened because it was his mistake? Anyway, let's move on. Then in the black clouds quite near me, I saw another airplane. It had no lights on its wings, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. I could see the pilot's face turned towards me. I was very glad to see another person. He lifted one hand and waved, "Follow me," he was saying, "follow me." He knows that I am lost. I thought he's trying to help. Children, usually if you have ever noticed the airplane flying above, then you might have noticed that it does have tail lights. You know, there are lights on its wings. There's a tail and there's a light over there as well. Maybe you never bothered to think about what is the significance, but now you need to think about it, find it out, and if you do find it out, you let me know in the comment section. Okay, so now what has happened? He's seen somebody who is flying an airplane, and he's very glad to see. So I think it is very, very understandable when you are in a difficulty, when you are in a difficult situation, when you are in a situation where you want some rescuing or at least a little bit of help, and you see somebody who promises that, then your confidence comes back to you. It is returned back to you twofold, that yes, you'll be able to now go through this. Whatever is there, whatever problem has come, you will be able to overcome it. So he feels that the pilot is saying, he's asking him to follow him, and this author also turns his airplane towards the north and in front of the Dakota, so that it would be easier for me to follow him. So what is happening? The plane, the black aeroplane that the author sees, it has turned its airplane towards the north in front of the Dakota, which the author is flying. And why has he done so? Because it would be easier for the author to follow him. Now he is very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. Now what is it? This is again a poetic device, like an obedient child. You know, it's a simile. So what is the author telling? That he had become a small child, and just like a small child is going to follow an adult, similarly this author is also doing the same thing. He is also obeying the instruction that he needs to follow the other airplane. Now half an hour goes by. The strange black aeroplane is still there in the clouds, and now comes the danger part. There was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 or 10 minutes more. Children, for us, you know, those who are on the ground, we drive our two-wheelers or four-wheelers, this lack of fuel or fuel being emptied is not such a big deal. We know there are umpteen number of petrol pumps. We can just go there and get it filled. Of course, if you are on a deserted road, or you are in an area where there is no petrol pump for a long area, then of course you would have a little bit of a problem. But then all you have to do is you'll have to physically drag your two-wheeler or four-wheeler. Four-wheeler is a little difficult, of course, to drag, but the two-wheeler can be dragged, of course. But when we are talking about air traffic, when we are talking about a plane, you know, it's not as simple as just dragging something or walking along with, you know, being tired or something. It's a question of life and death. If there is no fuel in the tank, it actually means death, because then the plane is simply going to fall down and the pilot would be carried along with him if he is not able to eject himself out in time. So you can understand what is the concern of this pilot. Now he has started to feel frightened again, but then he started to go down, and I followed through the storm. So now the plane is also going down, and this pilot's plane, this author who is a pilot, he is also going down. And suddenly what has happened? They have come out of the clouds, and he sees, what does he see? Two long straight lines of lights in front of me. It was a runway and airport. Bingo! It was an airport. I was safe. Can you imagine the relief this author must have felt to see that there is an airport? That means he can land there. Help is there. He is out of those clouds and he is near an airport. Such a big relief. I was safe. This is the first feeling that comes. I turned to look for my friend in the black airplane, but the sky was empty. There was nothing there. The black airplane was gone. I could not see it anywhere. I landed, and I was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. And then this guy, he's very happy. Oh, thank God I am out of those clouds. My life is saved. And he parks, you know, he lands his plane there. He goes to the control tower. Now this is where something interesting happens. He asks the lady over there, you know, he says, there's this woman in the control center, and he asks, I would like to know who the other pilot was. And the reason why he is looking for him is because he wants to say thank you. Obviously, he is full of gratitude. He is grateful. If this airplane would not have been there, do you think this pilot would have reached safely? No. So he knows that, he realizes it. And you know, children, it is very, very important for us to be grateful, to be thankful for even the little help that has been given to us, and this help was very big. So it is absolutely fine that the author wishes to say thank you. But then what happens? The lady is saying, what airplane are you talking about? Up there in the storm. Nobody is so mad, you know, to go and fly their airplane in the storm. What she wants to say is, only you are the one who was mad enough. And then she says, yours was the only one that was on the radar. I could not see any other airplane. And children, you know that radar is a very sophisticated instrument. It keeps track of the planes that are arriving and that are departing. And the air traffic control room or the center, it's it's a place which is very, very busy, and the schedule is very, very hectic. The people who are working there, they have a kind of a work that you can't even imagine. It is nerve-wracking because they have to constantly keep their eyes over there on the screen. They have to be, fully alert to which one is arriving and which one is departing, because a single mistake would lead to the collision of the planes, and many lives would be lost. There's one very good book that I would like to suggest, Airport. It's a wonderful novel that has been written on the people who are working in the ATC. So if you ever get time, do read that book. Anyway, let's come back to the lesson. And we see that the author is wondering who helped me arrive there safely without a compass or a radio, without any more fuel in the tanks. Who was the pilot on the strange black airplane flying in the storm without lights? So the author has left us wondering who was that person, who was that pilot who helped him. And what do you think? Many of my students say that, ma'am, he probably did not see any airplane. It was just he himself. He saw himself guiding himself. So, there's a possibility that he drew all the strength from within himself, and he thought that there's somebody who's actually helping him, but it was his own self-confidence, it was his own faith that was guiding him. Many of my students say, hey, ma'am, there was a mysterious airplane, and that mysterious airplane could be of a pilot who died long time back, and his spirit haunts these situations, and whenever they see a pilot stuck somewhere, this ghost comes, this spirit comes, and he guides the plane out of the difficult times. Then there are many students who say that, ma'am, it is quite possible that it was an airplane that was going in some opposite direction, and it guided this plane, and it then flew off in the direction it wanted to. And radars, after all, are machines. They did not probably detect it. So there are various interpretations to this ending. This kind of an ending is called as an open-ended kind of a story, right? Where the author wants you to think what might have been the reason behind it. So I leave you, students, with your conclusion till the time we meet again. Good day.